Stop. Don't speak. Don't tell me no. Just give me a moment. Let me tell you what I have to say before I lose my thought. I love you, okay? I know it's crazy. I know it's not rational. I know there's no thinking behind it, but I just love you. Why do I need to make this poetic bullshit? Why do I need to think about all these other ways to express it? When the truth is, I am so madly in love with you. You make me so happy. You make me so sad. You make me feel all of the emotions that you need to feel alive. I'm sorry. I know you don't want nothing to do with me. The 1 or 2 likes, the 108 subscribers. I know I've been rejected a lot by you, but I can't help it. I have to keep doing this because, not just because I have to, but because I want to, because I need to, because there's nothing that makes me as happy as when I make videos, as when I'm spending my time with you, YouTube. I know that no matter what happens, you're there for me. When I'm sad, I listen to music. When I'm happy, I find videos that make me smile. When I don't know what I feel, I watch trailers because I need help deciding. But you, YouTube, I love you. I grew up on you, and I hope to never be apart. That's why I take you everywhere I go. On my cell phone. Yeah, I got the YouTube app. So, for today's retro review, we're going to do something a little bit different. I wanted to do a rom-com. I wanted to take all of you back to another origin place. What do you mean by that? Well, Jamil, what I mean is that I love rom-coms. There's nothing that makes me feel better or make me laugh more than romantic comedies. Than seeing all those scenes where they come out there and they declare their love for someone we've only seen kiss 2 or 3 times. Usually, you got some raunchier stuff that they show sex, but even then it's still pretty covered. You know what I mean? Otherwise it just becomes another level, and I will not have YouTube censor me, so I won't say it. But you know it. You know what I'm talking about. And I don't care about that. I'm here about the story. I'm here about seeing the star-crossed lovers. And so today, we're going to be reviewing the movie So we're going to talk about the movie, There's Something About Mary. Yep, that's right. I recently just watched it. I would say literally 5 minutes before I started filming this video. That's right. I just wanted to give you something a little bit more fresh, kind of more off the cuff, meaning I just talk about it and my thoughts. And I rewatched this movie for the first time in maybe like 2 or 3 years. I've seen it several times in this lifetime. The movie came out in 1998, and so basically I was 1 year old at that time. But I am a huge, huge fan of the movies from the 90s and the 2000s. They were just my decades, I will never forget them, and hopefully one of my goals is to make a rom-com at some point that feels like from the 90s to 2000s. I always thought that those were pretty good, so definitely something worth discussing in the future, and then hopefully you guys will watch it. So I just kind of wanted to talk about, I liked it. I thought it was pretty good. It feels a little bit kind of like a parody, or more like a critique a little bit about the idea of the rom-com, because it does start with like this: the boy meets girl, the boy's awkward, the girl's pretty, which we've seen a billion times in rom-coms. But really the difference comes in in the setup of the movie. I'm just gonna spoil it because it's an old movie anyways, and we do spoilers here. Basically, they're supposed to go to prom. And on their way to prom, he uses the bathroom in the girlfriend's house, in the girl's house, and then literally he gets caught looking at the girl and her mom dressing her. And it was like literally as like a big joke because he was happy, he was like, oh, I'm in the most prettiest girl's house, we're gonna go to prom. And then he was looking at the birds, and they're kind of like doing those love songs, and then the bird kind of leaves, and then the only thing that you see is him looking straight at the girl, and he has his hand on his, on his downstairs. And then they kind of scream, and he screams, and literally in such a hurry, he tries to pull up, and that's when he gets stuck. It's a very gross scene, but honestly, the best part about it is the fact that on each person who sees it brings someone else, and so like almost the whole community sees his private stuck in the zipper. And that's some pretty crazy stuff, even in the 90s. I heard that this act kind of ushered in the raunchy comedies of like the 2000s, because this came out in 1998, and then a lot of movies like American Pie and stuff actually try to imitate that, and some of them did a good job. But that movie was really good. It holds up even in 2023. I mean, some of the jokes are a little bit racy for this time, but I really did enjoy the movie. I had a good time. I like the fact that a lot of the story is not necessarily about the guy, because on a lot of those movies are. It's not, they don't give you too much perspective about the woman, but in this one they purposely don't give you too much perspective about her, because this is like a critique on what happens with the rom-coms, where it's very heavy on the guy's side and not too much on the woman's side, because literally every single character becomes like in love with her, and so it turns kind of into a big joke about it. Even like the guy who looks like he's going to be the lead, Ben Stiller, he's not really the lead, to be honest with you. It feels more like an ensemble cast, because you get like a lot of moments with like the actor, I believe his name is Matt Dillon. You also get on a couple of other actors who are stalkers, and even the movie has a twist, and so all of it kind of worked really well. There are moments that remind you of the rom-com, but then they also make jokes on it, and I think that that was really smart about it, because it's something that's very common, and it continued to the 2000s. These are feel-good movies, but this is very much heavy on the com, a little bit on the rom-com stands for romantic comedy. So that's the breakdown. So I really did like the movie. I think it still holds up because it kind of takes that idea of like what they call the male gaze, which is basically that a lot of times the director is a man and he kind of puts this emphasis on women, but in a way that makes them feel like objects. And so they kind of do that in the movie, but purposefully. So that makes it feel a little bit more artistic and funnier, because they get away with pointing out the stuff that you see a lot. And it was entertaining. I thought it was pretty good. Ben Stiller did a good job being like the everyday man, and the Cameron Diaz, I will have to say, she was really pretty in that time. And that's not like me hitting or anything like that, but there are certain actors that have a very much Hollywood look, and she had it in that time period, like in the 90s and even the 2000s. She was very much a Hollywood star. So I just thought I just wanted to kind of give a shout out. It's crazy how people change over time and everything, and I don't mean in a bad way. I mean just like in general, how you see like these actors from when they start off young and then they become older. And she looks great. She still looks really pretty today, but it was so different what she looked like when she was in basically her 20s. So I thought that was really cool. I really enjoyed the movie. Made me laugh several times. My favorite part is definitely with the dog, which I'm pretty sure they didn't use a real dog, because there were so many scenes where they were basically killing the dog, but it was very much like they had a toy, and it was funny. I think that sometimes when they have that kind of, they break the realism, it kind of brings the comedy a little bit higher, because of the fact that it reminds you that this is a joke. So it makes it easier to laugh, because the dog kind of gets tortured. So obviously torturing animals is not a laughing matter unless you're Dexter or something, but I ain't Dexter, so I don't laugh about that. But in the movie, it worked really well. So yeah, that's my thoughts on the movie. Let me see if I forgot something else about it. I mean, it was kind of very basic in the plot. This guy who had his first date gone wrong with this really pretty girl in high school tries to reunite with her, and then it turns out she has like a million stalkers, and then he declares his love, but then he declares his love by saying that he wants to let her go, because what happens too is, and that's I think the important part about critiquing the idea of the male gaze, is that when you watch a lot of these movies, your idea of what a woman is, or how they're supposed to act or look or anything like that, gets messed up, because at the end of the day, men and women, we're the same. We're people. And when you lose sight of the fact that someone's a person and you put them on a pedestal, it becomes kind of hard to relate to them. And then I think for that person too, it becomes hard to relate to the person that sees them so perfect. I think in one part because a lot of times you don't want to let them down, but in the other part because they're so gives the other person so much that they forget to have self-respect. And I think that happens a lot when you watch these kind of movies, the rom-coms, like not the more traditional rom-coms, I would say, that you think you have to give everything. But in reality, just like anything else, everything is give and take. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed this review, and I will see you mañana. One more thing I forgot. I really like the musical interlude. Basically, that means the breaks. They had musical breaks in the movie, and then they were just singing songs. When when I get to make my own movies, especially a rom-com, I'm including that. I don't care what musicians I gotta find, but that's gonna be a part of the story because music and movies are so interconnected, and I really like that. It was really cool. Just like in the middle of the movie, they had like someone singing, and then at the end of the movie, they literally killed the singers. That's very much to let you know that this is a comedy first. So that was great. That was the last thing I wanted to say. Next time.